I'm going to show you why props.cash was so useful. And again, you can see it on the bottom screen here. You could use promo code PropQueen and you get 50% off your first month at props.cash. You could get all of these graphs yourself. So let's start with VJ Edgecombe tonight, who is on the Philadelphia 76ers. And I like his over 21.5 PRA. These are their numbers for Edgecombe without Kelly Oubre Jr. and without Joel Embiid on the floor. He's had at least 25 points, rebounds, and assists in all three of those games. And tonight, they're getting an absolutely horrific Washington Wizards team. The Wizards are bottom 10 in points and rebounds allowed. So Edgecombe averaging 23 points, rebounds, and assists in 4 games without Oubre Jr. He's gone over his PRA, as you saw, with all 3 of those games of Oubre and Joel Embiid out. The Wizards, they allow the most points per game, the most rebounds per game, the second most assists per game, and Washington's also on the second leg of a back-to-back. So I'm going to go with the over on VJ Edgecombe over 21.5 PRA. Now, another player that stood out to me, but you've got to be careful because of the minutes. Andre Drummond over 10.5 rebounds at even money. But his minutes have been like 20 minutes. So I am a little weary of it, but he is the only center I could rely on Philadelphia. Joel Embiid's out. Drummond was participating in shoot-around this morning. In games without Joel Embiid this season, Drummond's cashed the over in 6 of 7 home games. I'll show you the props.cash graph on Andre Drummond. So 6 of 7 games at home without Joel Embiid on the floor, he has gone over 10.5 rebounds. Looking at the last 5-6 games, or the last 2 weeks really, against Washington, Kristaps Porzingis went over his rebounds. Nikola Vucevic went over his rebounds. Rudy Gobert went over his rebounds. So all of these veterans went over. Okay, but he was at shoot-around this morning. And again, I said, be careful of his minutes. Be careful. He's still like day-to-day, but he participated in shoot-around this morning. So I'm just telling you that I would be a little weary of it because of the minutes. But they are going up against the Wizards. So it's the Wizards, the most rebounds per game allowed, and veteran centers have been going over their rebound prop. Denny Avdija under his 6.5 assists also stood out. So I'm going to show you again the props.cash graph of Denny Avdija. It's a lot of red. So this is Avdija against Toronto in his career. So against Toronto in his career, Avdija hit the under in all 6 games, averaging just under 5 assists per game. No Drew Holiday has led to more assists for Avdija for sure, but Toronto's defense is top 5 in points allowed, 9th best in assists allowed. 60% of forwards have gone under their assist prop against Toronto this season. The front court, Jakob Poeltl, Scotty Barnes, could be tougher for Avdija to find those passing lanes tonight. So I would go with the under on 6.5 assists. My sources tell me Ariel has a big announcement coming. What is that? I don't know. I don't know what that big announcement is. Jaylen Brown under 27.5 points. This was another trend that stood out. If you like backing trends, then this is what you have to be looking at. I think this is the right one. The only concern, again, that I have is that the Knicks and the Celtics already played this season, and this already hit to the under, but we're going to show the trend anyway. This is Jaylen Brown against the New York Knicks. And it's still this much red without Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown has struggled against the Knicks, or the Knicks are just really good against him. 15 of 16 games have cashed the under, hitting 27.5 points on average against, 19 points on average against the Knicks. He's gone under 27.5 points in 15 of 16. In all 3 games that the Celtics have played the Knicks without Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown still went under with 26, 20, and 23 points. The Knicks have allowed the 5th least points per game to their opponents. Brown's numbers at home are split against top 10 defenses. He put up 33 against Detroit, 12 against Houston. So with Cat, Mitchell Robinson, all those guys underneath, maybe it's a little tougher for Jaylen Brown to drive down the lane. 27.5 is a lot of points to be betting over on for a player that hit it one time in his last 16 games against them. So I would just be very wary of Jaylen Brown tonight. Miles McBride is another player that has struggled in this matchup against the Celtics. Again, my only concern is that it hit the last time that these two played, like the under hit. But against Boston, even, and I know that you're going to say, oh, but his minutes are blah, blah, blah. I've done it so that the number, like that his minutes have been where they're like we've been at recently. So in the 6 games where Miles McBride has played, what was it? How many minutes did I put in there? 25 minutes at least. So if he played at least 25 minutes, Miles McBride is averaging 10.5 points per game against Boston. McBride's hit the over 12.5 points in 3 straight games. So why is this prop dropping from 13.5 to 12.5? The Celtics allowed the second least points per game to their opponents this year. 60% of shooting guards in the last 10 games have gone under their points prop against Boston. McBride hasn't even faced a top 10 defense on the road this year. So you'd have to think that the Knicks are going to send Jalen Brunson out there, and it takes away from Miles McBride. So Miles McBride under points tonight also stood out. Anthony Edwards, if you're not afraid of a big spread, Anthony Edwards over points plus rebounds. I was pretty shocked to see how much Anthony Edwards has been actually rebounding on the road this year. His rebounds have gone up significantly on the road. So Ant-Man's averaging 38 points plus rebounds on the road. He's gone over this number in 6 of 8 road games. He is averaging 2 more rebounds per game on the road. Against bottom 10 defenses, Anthony Edwards averaging 34 points, 5 boards, and the Pelicans have allowed the 5th most points and 10th most rebounds per game this season. So as long as you feel that Ant-Man stays in the game, that kind of works out. Julius Randle over his threes. This one's not so much about betting straight up, but you can put it in like a Prize Picks lineup if you want. It's a little too juiced at minus 150, and it's a 3-point prop. But Julius Randle, it's a bunch of green there. The Pelicans have allowed the most threes per game this year. So they are the worst perimeter defense in the league. The position to bank the most threes against the Pelicans this year, power forwards. They've hit 65% of their 3-pointers to the over. And Randle's shooting better from outside on the road this season. He's averaging 2 threes a game. Randle's gone over in 6 of 10 road games this year. He actually went over 1.5 threes in his last 2 games against the Pelicans. So you could look to a Julius Randle over threes prop as well. Devin Vassell. Ooh, this is my favorite 3-point prop of the night. If you want a 3-point prop, do I have a graph on this? I don't think I have a graph on it. But Devin Vassell over 2.5 3-pointers made. Vassell is the leading 3-point shooter of the Spurs. He cashed the over in 6 of 10 home games this year. Harrison Barnes and De'Aaron Fox in the last time, because these 2 teams, Grizzlies and Spurs, played on November 18th. And I always say what didn't happen in game 1, especially within the last couple of weeks of each other, what didn't happen in game 1, I like to say happens in game 2. And Vassell did not go over 2.5 threes in game 1. Barnes and De'Aaron Fox did. Against the Memphis defense, allowing the 7th most 3-pointers per game, I'll take my shot for the Spurs leading 3-point shooter in Devin Vassell. And then a couple of other things to make note of for the Warriors Thunder late game tonight. Let me just get those graphs up. Not video. Image. Pods. So everyone's going to talk about pods because Steph Curry's still out, and that pods is the go-to when Steph's out, which is true. Look at all the green here without Steph this year. However, Pods has played 2 games against OKC without Steph, and he's only put up 13 and 12. So when you're up against the best defense in the entire NBA, I'm probably staying away from a points prop tonight. What I will do is Draymond Green over rebounds plus assists. This has been my favorite trend for Draymond since the beginning of time. Since rebounds plus assists props came out about 6 years ago, I've been betting Draymond overs rebounds plus assists until Jimmy Butler ruined it. Jimmy Butler ruined my rebounds plus assists prop for Draymond, except this year at home at Golden State. This year, even with Jimmy Butler, look at that at the top. You see it at the props.cash at the top. With Jimmy Butler at home, this has still cashed in all but 1 game. So 10.5 rebounds plus assists, Draymond Green. I'm going with the over rebounds plus assists. I'm going back to my trend. I hope it doesn't lose. He should be playing. He's probable tonight. Jimmy Butler was questionable this morning. It looks like he might play tonight.